Okay, today's the main topic of my lecture is if statement, right? That's the main topic of today's lecture. So the computer program often need to make decision based on input or some circumstances. And today I'm going to talk about three different types of if statement. And pretty much that's all the if statements you may need to use for this class. And so let's see. So first if statement is just simple if, right? And then you put some conditions. So this is basically a Boolean conditions. The Boolean condition. The Boolean means the value of this Boolean expressions, or you can say Boolean expressions, either becomes basically this is true or false, right? It's if, and then you have to put always semicolon at the end, because if is a compound statement. So I'll talk more about the compound statement in a few minutes. And then you put some so then you have to put some indentations. So there is a blank space, indentations, and you put some statements. Okay, there could be multiple statements or the single statements. So example is if, let's say the user enters value for your midterm score or the grade. So if your grade is, let's say, greater than or equal to, by the way, this is the Boolean operator that I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes. So if your grade is, let's say, for now, just let's say your grade is, let's say, greater than 90. And then you put the semicolon. This is a Python syntax. And then you have to say print A. Okay? And as you can see, you must have an indentation here. This means this print statement is part of this if statement. Without this indentation, you will have a syntax error. Okay, so this is the type number 1. And another type of if statement is, now you can have if else statement. So the syntax is if Boolean expressions colon, right? And then you have some kind of indentation here, blank space, and then you'll have you'll have a single or multiple statements. So statement 1 and statement 2, and all this statement basically what? Due to these indentations, the statement is really belong to this if statement, right? And else, and then you put what? Colon, and then you have to have indentations, and then you have to have some statement, and then some statement. Thanks to these indentations, the statement is really belongs to what? Else statement. So the example is, let's say the user enters a grade. So if the grade the user enters is greater than 70, that means what? He passed the course. If not, then what? He will receive an F. So if you just write that expression using the Python syntax, then you have to say if grade is, let's say, greater than 70, right? Then you have, by the way, you have to have indentations, right? Indentation is like blank space. and then you have to say print. Let's say this time you can let's just write multiple statement. So print, let's say congratulations, right? Oh, by the way, you have to have a colon, and then print. There's another indentation here. This has to be matched. This is aligned with the first statement. Print. You got what? Passed. Since it has what? Indentations, this two print statement is really belong to the first if statement, right? And then you have to have what? Else, and then colon, right? And then you will have multiple statement print. Right, you receive F. So this time you need to have an indentation here, right? And then this statement is really belong to this else else statement. So this is type number 2. Type number 2 if statements, if else. The first one is just have an if statement, and then second type of if statement is you have to have what? If. The first statement is basically just you have an if, right? And next type of if statement is you have if, and then else, right? And then you have indentations and you have a statement, right? So this is the second type of if statement. And then third type of if statement is if Boolean expressions and else if. So syntax for that is if Boolean expressions, right? If Boolean expressions, and then you have to have a colon, right? And then you have indentations, and then what you have a multiple statement. Statement 1, statement 2. By the way, all these statements, multiple statements, belong to the first if statement. Then you have to have else, E-L-I-F, and then you have to put the colon at the end. And then you must have, you can have then, oh, sorry, not the colon. So then you have to have another Boolean expressions, right? And then colon, and then you have indentations, and then you have multiple statement. You can have only one or more. You can have one, and then you have another ELF, else if. This is Boolean expression 1 and Boolean expression number 2, and then you can have a Boolean expression number 3, and then you have indentations, and then you have a statement 1, 2, 3, right? Or like more, one or more. So this is indentations, and then you have to have this alignment has to be matched. Okay, and then so you can have many else if statements. So you keep calling Boolean expression 4, 5, 6, 7, but at the end you must have the final else, colon, the final else. This final else does not have any Boolean expressions, right? And then you have some statement here, and then of course you have an indentation here. Okay, so for the else if, okay, so example for this is, let's say for else if, I'll give you one example. For else if, let's say if user enters a grade, right? Then if grade is greater than 90, right? Then you have to have a colon. And then what? Print. You receive A, right? Else if ELIF, and then if grade is greater than 80, then what? You print. You receive B, right? Else if ELIF, if greater is greater than 70, then what? You'll receive C. Else, right? Else, colon. Sorry, else you have to say print F. So this is the third type of if statement. So you have if and else if and else if. You could have more else if you want, but at the end you must have a final else. And this final else, as you can see, there's no Boolean expression, right? But things that you must know about this if-else statement is that only one condition will be selected. Okay, so let's say if the grade value, if the user enters, let's say 75. Okay, let's say the user enters the 75 for this grade value, right? Is that 75 is greater than 90? No, so this becomes what? This expression becomes false. So this printf will not be executed. And then 75 is greater than 85? No, right? So this Boolean expression will be not executed. Is that 75 is greater than 70? Yes. So this will be executed, right? This print C. So on the monitor you will see the C, the grade C, right? And then it will exit out of this statement. So this won't be executed, right? So as you can see, only one Boolean, only one if statement will be selected. So that's the things that you must know about this if-else statements. So let me stop my lecture here. Okay, so